everyone. So I wanted to jump on here and share with you a few things about the darkness and about the light, and a little light touch on the dimensions and how it's actually going to apply for your health and fitness goals. Because the spiritual sense of things, of how everything is interdimensional, because we live in an interdimensional universe, you can use these spiritual practices to transform your body because they've been around forever. Yay. And they really do work as a foundation. So before I get started in what I'm going to share with you, I just want to give you a little bit of context. So, I've been in fitness for 20 years, and in my 20s, I had two very important people tell me how my body was not really, three actually. Three people tell me how my body was not an example for being in the fitness industry. So I had one person say, you have way too much muscle and a scrawny neck. I had another person say that if they saw me walking down the street, they wouldn't be able to tell that I was in the fitness profession. Another person told me you should just accept that you're always going to be a soft woman. You are not going to ever be muscular. So those things really kind of took a toll on how I viewed myself. And so I did a lot of cardio and Pilates and dieting, which then would turn into binging. I wasn't really understanding how to lift weights for my type of body. And so the more that hey Clarence, congratulations on your pregnancy. So the more I tried to be the image that somebody told me I was supposed to look like, the less I was actually getting results with the techniques that I use now. So the techniques that I use now is dieting. I do diet intentionally to get the physique that I am after, and I lift weights 3 days a week, and then I do cardio after I do the weights, and I do pre-workout and post-workout, and I'm basically doing all of the things that I used to do, but that I wasn't necessarily getting those physical results. And the difference is the vibration in my body, and the vibration in the body is the emotional state. And so one of the things that really drove me crazy, especially when I went to therapy, was you have all the answers within. And I'm like, if I have all the answers within, tell me how to use the tools that are within so that I could get to the answers, right? It was so frustrating. And so I've been on this quest to self-heal myself so that I could stop binge eating and actually like myself. And then also when I had a disc in my neck slide up and under the one above it, I went into Joe Dispenza's meditations to understand how the body works. And I read and listened to Dr. Bruce Lipton lectures about how biology works. And we truly do have everything designed within us. And the spiritual practices, the pagans before the Abrahamic religions came in, of Christianity, Catholicism, Judaism, and Islam, before those came in, all the symbology was representing how you actually tune into the tools within. And in fact, Jesus, the westernized version is Jesus, the real version is Yeshua. He was teaching all of this, and it was purposely omitted from the New Testament so that people could stay connected to the church, right? Because the church makes money. So what I'm going to share with you is these ancient practices, and do my very best to help you apply them to your physical, your physical goals, because we've got this physical body that we want to look good in, and we want to feel good in, we want it to be healthy. So as far as vibration goes, that is what we call the divine feminine. And your vibration, what the cells are doing, there's a neuro process, a mind-body process where your cells will vibrate, send a message up to the brain, and ask the brain, is this what we're feeling? And feeling, the word feeling is what we use to describe an emotional state. And an emotional state is a measurement of vibration, and everything is vibrating. So happy vibrates really fast, sad vibrates really low. And when we are in a low vibration, biologically what happens is our mind is secreting matching molecules of emotions, of low vibration emotions. That's called stress. When we are in a higher vibration, our brain is secreting molecules of emotion that match that, and they're regenerative molecules. So this is why sometimes when you see people that have been in a really unhappy marriage for 10 years, not that I was, but when you see people who are in a really unhappy state and they make a shift in their life and they become happy, they look younger. Well, that's because of the biology that's going on within their body with their state. So I wanted to share with you why there's some things in the personal development community and the spiritual community that are really kind of messing things up for us. Because we've been told that if we think happy thoughts and we have positive thinking, then everything is just going to fall into place, right? And then a little bit like we got people talking about how you have to be a vibrational match. And so then when we have the vibrational match, then we're thinking, okay, well, if I think the really happy thoughts, then that means that I'm going to stay in this happy vibrational state. And as soon as a sad thought or an angry thought comes into my mind, I'm going to start to attract that. And that thought, actually being worried about it, is really going to lower your vibrational state. Now, the thing is that you can't really raise your vibration without dealing with the low vibration. Because as you go into a higher state, if you go into happiness, the more contrast you have of energy in your field, in your electromagnetic field, your toroidal field. You can Google all of this and you'll see images to see what I'm talking about. When you raise that vibration and there's a bigger contrast of emotional states, angry, happy, then the angry state is going to literally have light shining on it, right? And so then all of a sudden you're like, wow, like I'm actually have like deep-seated anger or deep-seated sadness. And so then what happens is we have this contrast that we can deal with it and be like, fuck, like why am I so unhappy? And actually sit with it and let images come to your mind so that you can deal with them. That's called processing. Or you are going into this happy state, you feel the low vibration of sadness or anger happen, whatever, and in your happy state of looking for solutions outside yourself, you say, you know what? This program isn't working. This spiritual book isn't working. This personal development book isn't working. This coach isn't working anymore. I need something else. And so instead of letting that contrast of vibrations in your body cue you to be the light of your own universe, to go in and shine even more on that darkness so that you can deal with it, you take off. And so then we go like to another thing to try to get the fix on the outside again. So really what it is that our darkness is our path. And part of the darkness of what has gotten distorted with the three Abrahamic religions is that the people in power of the churches who took darkness, divine feminine, the dark womb of the mother that we get to go forth and experience light from. Other people also associate this as the ninth dimension. That when we take away the darkness, that means that if it's taken away and no longer good, and we experience darkness within ourselves, then it's a self-sabotaging cycle of now I am bad because I have darkness. And what we're seeing in the collective is the combustion of all of these energies, because we moved into the age of Aquarius on December 21st, 2020. The energy of the Abrahamic religions of the oppression is of the Piscean age that we're done with. And so the only way that we can regenerate the Piscean frequencies of oppression and purposeful disconnection from source, the source from within, the only way we regenerate that is by pointing the finger at everyone else that's doing the wrong thing, versus recognizing that we are the energy centers for the planet and we are holding the energetic frequencies of judgment and oppression by not going internal and just watching the outside and figuring out what political party is the one who screwed it up, what ideology is the one who screwed it up. So this whole process of us acknowledging the darkness and letting the darkness be our path for our light to shine forth is the only way that things are going to shift on the planet, and also the only way that things are going to shift for yourself. Because when we have this low vibrational emotional state, this dark state, which is part of life, right, yin and yang, if we are constantly running away from that or constantly saying that we're bad because we have it, we're never going to get anywhere. It's just the positive thinking and love and light mentality is just a band-aid for what really needs to be addressed. Now, I did take notes and I didn't go off of them at all. But basically, okay, so the darkness. So let's talk about the darkness. I have one more thing to share with you and then how you can apply it, and then we will part ways. So you are the darkness created by downloads or pre-carnation plans. So when you think about you are the creator of your darkness. Now on a soul level, on a multidimensional reincarnation, multiple lives happening at several different times, This is from the Bhagavad Gita, and then also from quantum physics. So when we have that ability, or that is what this vibrational state is on this third dimension, or this whole entire universe, the pre-carnation plan idea is that when we were on soul level, when we did not have the human body, we had a conversation with God, with Source, and we're like, you know what? For this lifetime, these are the challenges that this is who I want to be. I want to be gracious, anticipation, delight, idealism, teamwork, totality, transmutation. I'm reading my gene keys right now. I want to be all of that. So the only way for me to be all of that is if the builders of the universe, or a portion of me, takes my light, takes who I am, and distorts it just enough to create darkness. Because the only way that I can come here and have this experience of growth as a human is if I have something to grow from. So if I want to be happy, I must on some level have experiences, destiny come into my life that are of sadness. Because my goal as a soul is to look for the solution, to look for growth, to add to the Akashic records, to add to all that is. But the only way I can do that is if I have experiences to pull from. If I come as a human and I have a perfect life with no challenges, I might as well just have stayed with Source, because human is also about growth, right, in the journey. The other thing is about downloads. So the other part of like how we get born, or what this is from a spiritual context, is that we have amnesia when we're born. And so that means that we don't really have a recollection of what it was like to be on the soul level. We do. Children talk to their imaginary friends, which they really could just be talking to interdimensional beings, and then grown-ups come in and squash that and say it's not real. But it is real. And the veil gets thin when we're old and we're dying. The veil is thin at death, and the veil is thin at the birth, right? So then it's the conditioning of learning how to be human from ages 0 to 7 that we end up getting downloads or getting imprinted with how to do life from a negative perspective. So if we had parents that were constantly in a bad mood or constantly sad, we are imprinting and downloading how I be human is sad. And then maybe you get to a point when you're in your adult life and you're like, wait a minute, I don't like being sad anymore. How did it get there? So we get into this low vibrational state by our own desire on the pre-incarnation level, so pre-carnation level. And we also get to that low vibrational state as we learn to be human, because we're picking up the information from the people around us, right? So this is a way for you to play with the darkness to be your path, so that you being the light can reach your goals, right? Because like I said, I'm doing pre-workout, post-workout. I'm doing all the things basically that I used to do, but now I'm getting the results. And the shift has been the vibrational / emotional state within my body that's allowing me to follow through on my intentions. So the first thing that we're going to do is we're going to tap into the divine masculine energy, the light. And the light is the frequency. It gives us the direction. So if you think of this as a perfect family in a perfect situation, as dad being the head of the household, dad is influenced by the mind, right? We know Beyonce saying that. Dad is influenced by the emotional state of the body. I'm going back and forth here. Okay, divine dad, our perfect image of what a father should have been if we didn't have that, right? He gives the direction for the family. Dad is also influenced by the mom, right? Because the mom is nurturing, and the mom is like, hey, buddy, like, I know that you're like gung-ho and you are the hunter, but I'm seeing all this emotional stuff that you're not being aware of. So let me give you some other information to consider before you make your decision. And mom usually, right, in this perfect situation of dad going out and doing the thing, mom taking care of the family and nurturing everyone within the family, the mom is paying attention to the child. And if the child is saying, I need emotional needs met, the mom is going to come in there with those emotional needs and encourage the child to fulfill their dreams. And then also talk to the dad and be like, hey, like, this is what they're struggling with. This is the direction that they need. So that perfect scenario of a divine family is like a metaphor for what we have inside us. Because our heart has the desires. And I think of this also from the quantum physics level. Maybe not quantum physics level, but like there's this idea that we are a fractal of God's consciousness because we're a hologram. Everything that we have within our body is the same system that is on the exterior because it's the universe, right? We're of the universe. We're not separate from it. It feels like we're separate, but we're not. So our divine masculine energy is, what the fuck do I want? What do I want out of my life? Where do I want to go? Where do I see myself in 5 years? Where do I see my body? All right, well, my emotional state, and speaking for everyone here, dictates the thoughts in the mind. So for me, the desires of my heart is that I've always wanted to be really lean. I've always wanted to have an athletic body. I was always very voluptuous with, really big boobs. Like, they're not as big as anymore, but like big boobs and a butt. And I didn't like being voluptuous. And every time I expressed it to a friend, I got fit shamed, that there must be something unworthy in me, that I feel like I need to be lean. And then also that kind of like it was like conceited and it wasn't a worthy goal. And it's like, why does it matter? Why does it matter to anybody else if I'm voluptuous and I don't want to be voluptuous? Because right now, like, that's the thing, right? Like, everybody is like, I'm thick. And I'm like, whatever, I don't care. I want to be shredded. So the desires of my heart lead me, okay, check this out. This is how you start to pull up the vibrations. Lead me down the walk of shame. And I'm using the walk of shame because we all know what that means. That means that you went out, you might have had sex with somebody, and then you got to walk to your car. And if you're a woman, your makeup is all messed up, your hair is all mixed up, you do not want to meet anybody on the way. You don't want to have eye contact with anybody because you're like, oh my God, like, I'm holding my heels, I'm in a dress. Clearly it looks like I got into some trouble last night, right? So the walk of shame, okay, just to have a fun analogy. So as soon as that you start to embrace the desires of your heart, of whatever you want to look or feel like in your body, the divine feminine that has been scorned for centuries, the darkness that has been scorned for centuries as this evil thing, starts to get active. And your inner child has to take a look at these vibrations of unworthiness, of shame, of guilt, of I'm stuck up if I want that. Like, basically, the walk of shame is going to bring up every way that you have judged somebody else for having the physique that you're after. And this goes for any area of life, but I'm using it for this because I've mastered how to work with these energies for the physical result, right? With binge eating, with my neck injury, and then now with actually getting the results with the same tools that I've always used, but now my vibration is different, so I'm getting the aesthetic results now. So as your divine inner child is saying, I want to look and feel like this, the divine feminine, the darkness, the low vibration, the judgment emotions that you have inflicted on other people who have had that look or that feeling in their body, they're healthy, whatever, you're going to have to face those, because those judgments are actually how you are judging yourself. You just projected them into the context of the body. So fear, anger, guilt, shame, unworthiness, those are all things that you feel about yourself that you've directed on somebody else for their body. So when you are going towards the body of your dreams, whatever that looks like, those judgments are going to come up. So I call that the walk of shame. Because if you want to get to your goal, you're going to have to deal with your shit. You have to deal with the darkness that you've been holding on to. And as you deal with that darkness, if you are able to use this information as a tool and stay in your divine masculine, don't slip into the wounded masculine of listening to all this garbage that says, yeah, you know what, you're conceited. Yeah, you know what, you're stuck up. Yeah, you know what, you're not going to make it. That low vibration is telling a wounded masculine, yeah, you're fucked up, it's not going to work. You have to be mature enough to feel those vibrations come up and say, oh, divine masculine talking here. Oh, I see what's happening. The body has created enough of a contrast with what's desired and what is. Now I got to look at these two things. I've got to hold myself in the neutral position and hold what is desired, the light, and what is holding it back, the darkness. And I've got to look at how these two are opposites of each other, and how I have all these experiences in darkness that allow me to come forth into the light, that allow me to reach my goals. So, like even last week I was dealing with this and I was talking with my friend Joya Sosnowski of Create Space Studio, and I said, like I feel really ashamed that like I want to have this look. Like this is like I know this is the thing. And so I have to be able to be okay with saying I want to be shredded. And then what's so funny is that my Instagram feed has been showing up with a lot of male bodybuilders. And I'm looking at it and I'm like, you know what? They're proud of their physique. And they're showing people how you can build this muscle, and there's no emotional thing tied to it. They have a muscular body with not a lot of fat. So how did I make that bad for me? How did I make having a muscular body with not a lot of fat a thing that is makes me conceited, right? So these are the things that like can come up as you're working towards your goals. And so these are the reasons, the vibrational, emotional reasons that we're unaware of that cause us to backslide, that cause us to binge, that cause us to not stick with the exercise program. I'm explaining to you what is going on within this divine family that's within you, father, mother, child, that's causing you to act in a wounded child of stuffing your face and not sticking with an exercise program. So that's like the behind the tapestry of why we're sabotaging, right? Because we know it's an emotional reason, but we're like, why? And so I've been just spending so much time looking at metaphors, of spiritual metaphors, and looking at science, uncensored science, thank you very much, to look for the combinations and look for how they're saying the same thing. Because I know for me, hearing people say you have all the tools within drove me up the wall. Because I was like, well, what are the tools? Tell me the tools and I'll use them. But I don't know what the tools are. So I'm using the divine family as the metaphors to help tie this in. If you want to use some of my tools, I've been updating my website. Go to laurensarcione.com. Thanks, Clarence. I appreciate you. If you want to use some of the tools, I have a free area of my website. You can just register for an account and then use all the things I'll be adding to them. And we'll see you later.